Not here in Colorado. Yes. Yeah, okay, well, I'll try to touch base.
Just because I think we
Hopefully there won't be. If they're not in forum, there's no business. So your commercial. Whichever one of you wants to go. Well, since it's a debate, so one side goes and the other side goes. You know, if we got time for Q&A, maybe we can stand up and do Q&A.
we sit down. The one thing we do is we sit down.
There's a photo on there.
I'm saying is because my office is
We have officers that are here, second and third place.
Back on you? Oh, right on. Okay, just a friendly reminder for everybody, we need precinct committeemen sitting on this side of the room, the north, and everybody else on the south.
actually have a lead time here.
Also, if you are precinct committeemen, please sign in the back.
I don't know why they're not talking together. Hey everybody, keep filing in. If you're a PC, make sure you sign in so we can count for a quorum. If you're an alternate, make sure you sign in in case PC is not here. Everybody get seated, get settled. We're going to start here in just a minute. You want to do the invitation? And if you haven't gotten an agenda packet, especially if you're a voting member, they are on the back table. Lots of important stuff in there, so make sure you've got an agenda with you. All right, everyone, if you want to take your seats, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone, to the last Ada County Central Committee meeting before the big November election. Thanks for all being here. I'd like to start with an invocation. I'd like to invite Dan Malloy.
Thanks, Ryan. Let us pray. Father, we want to just ask you to look over this whole meeting because these are important decisions. We really need the guidance, your guidance on many of these issues, especially with the upcoming election, Lord. We ask that you move in a direction that you really needed to move in and to be freedom and allow freedom and liberty in this country. We just ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. And if everyone will please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. All right, Madam Secretary, do we have a quorum?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we do have a quorum.
We have a quorum. Now, if you'll refer to your packet, we have the minutes on the second page there. Hopefully you've all got a chance to take a look at those. Chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we amend the minutes to correct an error regarding the first vice chair portion of last meeting's minutes.
Okay, which page is that on?
The one that looks like this. It literally
Page
says,
5?
yeah, it says Gary Childy made a motion to nominate Steve Christensen, and it was the other way around.
All right, any other corrections or objections to the minutes? With that amendment, the chair would move to accept last month's minutes. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Oh, sorry, we need a second.
Matthew Jensen, 1708, seconds the motion. I'm sorry, I know better. I'm sorry.
Shane. All right, we have a motion, we have seconds. All in favor of approving the minutes as amended, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Let's now move on to our treasurer's report. Justin.
How's everybody doing? In our checking account, we have $10,140.24. Savings is $1,114.19. Filed 30-day pre, October 10th, and then we're looking to file the 7-day pre on the 31st. Any questions?
All right, thank you, Justin. We're now going to move on to item number 6, appointment of precinct committeeman alternates. If you're a precinct committeeman, you can appoint somebody to be your alternate to vote for you if you're not here. They do have to live in the same precinct and be registered Republican. Does anybody have an alternate to nominate tonight? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to number 7, introduction of prospective candidates for precinct committeeman. We have several vacancies, and if we have a nominee for any one of those vacancies, we will introduce them at this meeting, and then at the next meeting, we will vote to confirm if we have a quorum. Does anyone have any introductions for new prospective precinct committee? Megan?
I nominate Karen Farnsworth to fill a vacant seat in the 1808, Karen? That precinct, is it 1808? Yeah, 1808. Karen has worked with me on many different things. I've known her for the last 10 years. She's solid in pro-liberty and pro-life, and she's an incredible woman. I can't believe having her.
All right, thank you. Karen Farnsworth, and if you are here at the next meeting
This is for a PC vacancy?
for PC vacancy.
Oh.
And we'll confirm your address, we'll get you to fill out a form and confirm the vacancy with the secretary. Are there any other introductions for vacant precincts? All right, seeing none, and we will now move on to anyone who was introduced at a previous meeting for a vacancy. This is now the meeting where you can be confirmed. So I know we've had a couple introductions. Do we have anyone who was introduced at the last meeting who's here today, who can be confirmed? All right, David?
Yeah, I'd like to confirm Tracy Kalish, 1402. She was previously nominated last week.
All right, Tracy, are you here? Would you like to just say a word or two about yourself?
Tracy Kalish. Yes, I was former precinct committeeman for 1407, was reelected last May, and subsequently our house finally sold and moved to 1402. And unfortunately, Maureen Hatfield moved, so I am looking to step in her big shoes.
All right, thank you, Tracy. At this point, the chair would entertain a motion.
Then I move to appoint Tracy as the precinct committeeman for 1402.
Thank you, David. Julian?
I'm 14.
Yeah, let's have everybody use your precinct numbers and your name for the ease of the secretary. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of electing Tracy Kalish to precinct 1402, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Thank you, Tracy. Welcome back. All right, do we have any other individuals who were introduced at a previous meeting? Pat Avila. All right, Pat, if you could please stand. Is the person who nominated you here tonight?
Don't see him.
Okay.
I'll make the motion. I'll make a motion to nominate Pat Avella to Steve Christensen, 1801.
All right, we have a motion, and do we have a second?
I'll second. Gary Child, 1809.
All right, Pat, maybe you can say a word about yourself here before we take a vote.
Everything I said last month. I did not move. I'm still at the same address and been there for 15 years. And happy to be here.
That's precinct 2109, right?
2109.
Okay. All right, we've got a motion and a second. All in favor of confirming Pat Avella to the precinct opening in 2109, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. All right, motion passes. Welcome aboard, Pat. All right, do we have any other, I don't know if we had anyone else introduced in the previous meeting. Is there anyone else? Okay, moving on. We are going to get right to our candidate forum. And we have several candidates here tonight, and if somebody didn't make the agenda or shows up last minute, we do have a section at the end of the agenda for a second candidate forum. If we have a lot of time, then if you spoke at the last meeting, you can speak at this one. We'll see how we're doing. So we're pleased to welcome Russ Fulcher, who's running for 1st District Congress. And we're going to give our federal and statewide candidates 5 minutes and our legislative and county candidates 3 minutes. So please welcome up, everybody, Russ Fulcher for 1st District Congress.
If I talk from here, is that okay? So I see a lot of friendly faces and a lot of helpers. And I can't tell you what an encouragement that is. So here's the bottom line. If we get out the vote, we win. That's it. If we get out the vote, we win. We've got the candidates, we've got the numbers, we've got all the ingredients, and we've got some crazy people back east that are helping us out in the meantime. And this last few days, I was on the traditional GOP bus tour. And if you're not familiar with that, every election year, it's a tradition for those at the statewide level. And then as you go regionally to connect with people running for office, and you get on the bus and you hit all the towns in the various regions. I think we did 25 or 26 in 4 days. And myself and Brad Little, Lawrence Wasman, Lawrence Denny, Sherry Barra, Janice McGeehan. Trying to think of who else was on that, Brandon Wolf. And perhaps the most amazing thing was we did 4 days, 26 stops, never got pissed at one another. But truly, that's one of the things that does come out of it. We've all known each other for a while, but when you log a couple thousand miles with one another and you spend that time, you do get to know each other a little bit better. And so that was a blessing within itself. And right now, we've got 2 weeks to go, and from what I can tell, things look really strong. And there's a lot of good signs. As of, let's see, today's Tuesday, right? So as of Saturday, and there might be a correction here or an update, but there was at least 79,000 absentee ballots that had gone in, which is about 20% higher as of that date than in the last presidential race. And so that's a good sign, folks, because in this state, in our region, when people vote, good things tend to happen. And so my bottom line message to you is thank you. And should we prevail on November 6th, I have no intention whatsoever of being a wallflower. I've got relationships with each of our other members of the congressional delegation. You know, we've got a representative, I believe, from, well, perhaps not. We've got Jim Rich, who I served with for a number of years. We've got Mike Crapo, who I've known and worked with for a long time. In the last few months, I've got to know Congressman Simpson. We're going to go out this fun. And that's probably one of the most important things. And I think there's this window of time right now where we've got opportunities that maybe we haven't had before. Because there is a president in place who has turned that town on its ear. And you know what? That's a good thing. I don't personally subscribe to some of the tactics and some of the messaging personally, because that's not my style. But I will tell you, the end result, I believe, is positive. We're also about to have probably the largest new class of freshman congressmen in about 50 years. You combine those two things together, and I think there's an opportunity to do some things that everyone in this room would be appreciative of. And so to the extent, should we prevail, and I always put that disclaimer in because we have a race to win. But to the extent that we prevail, to the best of my ability, it's going to be to shift some of those decisions and some of that control from Washington DC to right here. Because that was the initial and the principal foundation of this nation. This was not to be driven out of Washington DC. It was to be driven locally.
You betcha.
And the citizen is the pinnacle of government. And so just know where my head is, know where my heart is. I think I know most of you, but if I have not had a chance to meet you, I hope you'll give me that opportunity. In the meantime, I'm going to thank you again for doing what you do. If you didn't lay the groundwork, I couldn't do this. Neither could the other candidates here. You're the ones who are the boots on the ground. You need to know you're appreciated. Mr. Chairman, you've cared about this for a long time. He's plugged in and he cares. And my prerequisite for I get that message. My prerequisite, as long as somebody cares and they're competent, we'll work together. And you're doing the groundwork. Thank you very much.
All right, we can hold it open for 2 questions, so they have to be very good questions. Does anybody have a question for Russ Fulcher?
Council is good.
Question, comment, criticism?
Would you be for the decriminalization of the cannabis plant?
Didn't hear the question.
Decriminalization of cannabis. I'll tell you what I am for. I would support the CBD oil and the legal use of that. I am not for the legalization of recreational use. And so I need to think through the specific question of decriminalization, but I think the most likely answer would probably be no. Well, it's worth it.
I'll work on changing.
All right. Yes.
Russ, what's the chance of getting one-issue bills back in Washington?
That'll likely be the first thing that I try to initiate. And if you're not familiar, in Idaho, we have a single subject rule so that your legislators, for the most part, when they run a bill, it's focused on one particular issue. And there are some things that have to be intertwined, but for the most part, it's a good thing. You vote up or down and you debate that issue. In Washington DC, everything is an omnibus, everything is a hodgepodge, everything is a 2,000-page bill. And every vote is a weighing of the good versus the bad. And what Regina is talking about is something that I care about a lot because that's how a lot of junk gets thrown into these bills. And so, once again, I'm not naive, but to the extent I've got influence, I'd like to strip that down and have those issues be debated on their own merits, one at a time, and I think we'd all be better off.
Yes.
Thank you again.
All right, next on our agenda is a candidate for Ada County Highway District, Gary Schaefer. Are you here tonight? Come on up, sir.
Thank you. If you don't mind, I'll use that. My voice isn't as
Come on
good.
up, you've got 3 minutes. Thank you for coming.
Good evening. With all due respect to the congressman, I'm sure that you came to hear me. And I think I'm going to be excellent. Maybe. Unfortunately, I'm running against people from my own party. It would be much easier running against Democrats, but I'm not. Like most of you, I think, I got one of these in the mail from Mr. Woolthorpe, and it's great. I'm sure he's a very nice man, but it doesn't say any accomplishments. Mr. Case, also I'm sure is a very nice man, but he's already been defeated in the county once this year. I think you have to question why is he running again. I'm not part of the problem. I haven't been part of any problem here. I believe that planning has been lacking, particularly in those developments that are existing. Those communities that have been existing, they've been overlooked. Common sense has been overlooked. If you look at some of the mid-road curbing, the signage, the striping, there's just no common sense the way some do it. Some of it's even dangerous. There's no foresight. Just call it the redos. So much around here is done and redone and redone and redone. My own street, they put down sewer and gas, they didn't put down water. So they had to come in and tear it up and put down water. It's ridiculous. There is unreasonable growth here. Unfortunately, I believe that the developers, and that includes people that are trying to put up cell towers all over the place, are telling the commissions where the development, where growth is going to be, rather than the other way around. Again, they've forgotten those existing communities, and they've forgotten those people who have a quality of life here that really don't want it disturbed. I'm really against planning and zoning. I think it should be disbanded until they find out what they're about. Somebody needs to re-educate them as to what the terms planning and zoning mean without being influenced by anybody else. To me, taking contributions or endorsements from anybody, developers, builders, is a conflict of interest because you have to deal with them, and I think it looks bad. There happened to be 3 people asked to give a bid on a fence by an official. One of them said $900. That would be 300 materials, 300 labor, 100 profit. Second one said that would be 700. 300 materials, over.
10 seconds.
I'm sorry,
10 more seconds.
we're done?
10 more seconds. Could wrap up.
Okay, I do have the qualifications. I'm a vet. I'm a former mayor of a capital city. I'm a former lobbyist, state and federal. I'm a teacher, a human resources and community relations manager, and a business owner. And probably what's greatest is I'm a parent, grandparent, and great-grandparent.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Gary Schaefer for Ada County Highway District. Next, we will move on to Robert McQuaid, who is running for re-election for Ada County Assessor.
Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. Most people know that the assessor's office does appraisals, but there's other things we do that most people probably don't know that we do. We have a department called the Land Records Division, and they maintain all of the parcel maps for the county. We have an admin division. They process applications and other administrative duties. There's one function that the assessor's office does that a lot of people don't know about, and that is we issue motor vehicle licenses, not driver's licenses. There's been a lot of confusion lately with motor vehicle licenses. We have about 5-minute wait times for all of the different locations, and we consider that a real great service. Although there are 4 divisions in the office, and really just 4 divisions, we share one vision, and that is we want to deliver the best public service at the least possible cost. And I just want to give you just a couple of examples of how we have done that in my time as the assessor. When I took office in 1994, there were 91,000 parcels in Ada County, and there were 24 appraisers. This year we have 200,000 parcels, and we have 28 appraisers. It's about a 120% increase in parcels, and just about a 17% increase in staff. So we're really very cost conscious. Motor vehicles, when I took office, my predecessor had a planned expansion. I think it was about $150,000 to increase the waiting area at motor vehicles. And my thought was, we don't need to increase the waiting area because we're going to decrease the processing time and the wait time, and we have done that. When I took office, I'm going to assume we don't have the data, but we assume the wait time is probably 30 minutes or so. So we've gone from 30 minutes to 5 minutes, 5-minute wait time. And one thing too on motor vehicles, when I took office, The admin fee was $3.40. I immediately reduced it to $3.20. 2005, we reduced it to $3.05. And right now, we're contemplating on reducing it less than $3. So we have great service at a less cost. The last point I want to make, when I was getting a degree in economics, I remember we were sitting in class, we were talking about the vagaries of the economy and how there are ups and downs. And I thought, why doesn't government have to be subject to the same vagaries that business is? If I was ever in a position, I would, of responsibility, I would see that government did have to experience those influences. When we went into the recession in 2008, we reduced our budget by 13%. That is, we had $100, we were now using $87. The following year, we reduced our budget by another 5%. So we reduced our budget by 18% as we went into the recession. That's just some of the neat things we've done. I just want to just close by a couple of comments of cards I received just this last week. It says, excellent service. I was surprised at the minimal wait time. It was less than 2 minutes. I was pleased with the woman's expertise. She was friendly, efficient, and overall customer service was just great. When I ran for office in 1994, our tagline was superior public service. And that's been our guiding star for the years that I've been assessor. And if you continue supporting me, that will be our vision for the next 4 years. Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, John McQuaid. All right, and our candidate for Ada County Clerk, Beth Mon, couldn't make it here tonight, so we're going to swap in Nikki O'Neill, running for County Coroner. And she's still here. We'll grab her. This is a race I'm particularly interested in because the coroner seat is the only seat in the Ada County government that's currently held by a Democrat. And so we lost this seat 4 years ago. We used to have, well, at least for a certain amount of time, we had all solid Republican officials in the Ada County government, but this is the last seat we need to take back. So why don't we bring her up here to talk about her run for coroner. Anybody's Nikki O'Neill.
Hi, everyone. So a lot of you, I feel so lucky. I feel like I've recently met a lot of you, mostly within the last year. But this is the most active Central Committee meeting I feel like I've ever been to. So congratulations to all of you for your participation in the grassroots of this party. Thank you. It means more to me, and especially as a new candidate, I think one of the most important things for me is that I get momentum underneath me because I'm a no-namer. And not to mention the fact that I'm actually running for a seat that a lot of people don't think that much about, and especially in partisan politics. And I feel like it's kind of a fortunate thing for me because, well, I stand for a value system and a party that is pretty dominatingly awesome. And we have good values, and we know how to utilize our values for fiscal responsibility and operating in a government agency. So the coroner's office is the smallest office, has about a $2.93 million budget, a fairly hefty staff of about 30 people, and 3 doctors are in that staff, 3 forensic pathologists. And the one thing that's important about this office is that the leader of this office be an independent arbiter in death investigations. And it's not something we all want to talk about, but suspicious deaths is an important attribute for that leader to be of an integrous character, to have a opportunity to partner with other agencies that will utilize the resources for people who are in times of tragedy. So, ultimately I decided to run for this position because I felt a sense of arrogance from my opponent that she knew that her boss was the electors. And I have found in this race so few people actually know what a coroner does, A, and B, that we even elect a coroner. So those two, I guess, anomalies within this race make it a little bit difficult for the electors to really be a boss for a coroner. So it's essential that we not only elect someone with a level of expertise that can operate, over the top of doctors and people who are going to be connecting closely with law enforcement. So, I really did step out of my comfort zone to run for this race. I I was pursuing medical school, so when I found this opportunity, available to me and this spot available, it kind of threw me for a loop. I wasn't prepared to do this, but in 2015, I decided that when I saw that we had elected someone for just awkward reasons, and outside of the Republican Party, nonetheless, I felt motivated. So I feel like that, maybe this is a time for me to be who I am and be where I am to be and have all of you here to help support and get this party back where it needs to go on even the very bottom of the ballot. So thank you all for just even entertaining the coroner's race. If you have any questions, I really recommend that you reach out to me personally. I'm happy to entertain your questions. I also have a great website, O'Neill the number 4 coroner.com. I've got some literature in the back, but thank you. Appreciate everything you guys do.
Thank you, Nikki O'Neill. All right, so that's going to conclude our first part of the candidate forum. Again, at the end of the agenda, if there are any other candidates who didn't get a chance to speak and would like to speak at the end, we're going to hold that open for you. All right, so we're going to move on to our next item. And just before that, I want to take a brief word to talk about our Ada County Republican Facebook page. If you haven't liked the page, I would really appreciate it if everyone just take out their phone now. If you have Facebook on your phone, look up Ada County Republicans and like that Facebook page. The more likes you get, the more you can disseminate the message. So when I first took over as chair, our Facebook page was pretty moribund. No one was using it. But I'm happy to announce that as of about a week ago, we exceeded 1,000 likes. So we're now in the digital age. Circulating a video of a Trump cutout getting his head ripped off definitely helped with the interest in the likes.
It did.
If you do have your phone out, I'd love you to go to our Ada County Republican page, www.adacountygop.org. As soon as you get to that page, you're going to see information about our banquet fundraiser, including a link to buy tickets or sponsorship packages. So we'd like you to all pull that up and see what some of the options we have are. We're going to talk about the fundraiser, and so we've got 2 weeks to go. We've got a lot of tickets to sell, and we're really counting on all of our PCs to buy at least a pair of tickets, or if you want to sponsor a table of 10, that would be a huge help as well. We are asking elected officials to sponsor as well, and then we are reaching out to corporate sponsors. But this is to make election night great again. Election night, to me, is the funnest night in the 2-year cycle of politics. It's like the Oscars for politics. And so we are kind of combining with the state party to make that election night at the Riverside even better by having this great fundraising banquet. And I'm pleased to announce we just managed to book our speaker, our entertainment for the evening. His name is Cowboy Rudy, and he is a cowboy poet, musician, entertainer. He is a nationally known guy who's been around for a long time. He's the only cowboy humorist to play at the Kennedy Center, and he's even got accommodations from former Governor Dirk Kempthorne, from Butch Otter, and other Idaho elected officials. And he's local, he's just outside of Weiser, so it's fitting our budget very nicely to get somebody local. We don't have a lot of celebrities in Idaho, so it's tough, I have to really beat the bushes, but this should be a lot of fun. I've heard nothing but good things about his act. So helping us out on the banquet, we have the second vice chair and the third vice chair. We have Julia, the state committee woman, and Megan, the District 18 chair. Why don't we invite you guys to come up and talk about some of the other aspects of the banquet.
Megan,
Okay.
I'll let her do your thing.
Come on, Megan, our District 18 chair.
She's really good. Yes.
Good evening. I know that all of you guys heard about kind of the fiasco that happened with our May banquet earlier this year, but that was kind of where we got our idea about how to approach what we wanted to do, how we wanted to give back to the party, and also have an opportunity for you to give in a way that maybe was fun, so we could elect more local Republican officials, which is why we're all here, right? We had a really great executive committee meeting last week, and we heard from Frank Terra Firma, who's part of the Idaho state party. And he showed us his, sorry, I tried to get a copy, didn't get one. He showed us their mailer that they've been sending out, and right on the big, huge side of it, it's about this big, it had pictures of people like, Obama and Hillary, and it said, if you don't vote, they win, right? So I thought it was awesome, actually. It was quite clever, because it's true, like what did Russ Holter just say, that we have the vote if they just get out to vote. All of you, I know you're looking at your precincts and you're thinking the same thing, that if they would just get out to vote, then we wouldn't have to worry. It's the same with us. If we just buy tickets to this event, then we meet so many budget hopes that we have, hopes to be able to give to candidates, to give to people like in my district and some of the other districts that have gone Democrat, so that we can actually have people who feel like maybe the party is going to be able to back me and I might try to run in an office where otherwise there's all Democrat candidates. Or like Mickey O'Neill, a little tiny office that means a lot but that other people don't think about. We want them to go all the way down the ballot, and we all know that they don't always go all the way down the ballot. So that's our hope, that's our vision, is that we'll have a really fun time, that we'll get to know each other better, that will create a bonding experience for our party, and also that we'll be able to raise some money. Our profit margin on the actual tickets are really small. And I know some people have complained that they were expensive, and totally get that. I know what it's like to have a tiny budget, a household budget. I also know that it is what it is. So we hope that you will buy some tickets. If you can't swing the tickets, we have banquet, that night at the banquet we will have a raffle. There's a sample basket in the back, we'll be raffling that one as well as other baskets. We're also going to have a silent auction for desserts. So there will be other opportunities. The auction will end at 10 p.m. So you can come after polls close at 8 or whenever, and there will still be things happening at the banquet room. We're going to be in one half of the ballroom, and the state party will be in the other half. In our half, we'll have a dance after 8:30 till midnight, and that will be free of charge. You can come in anytime. We hope that you'll mingle. We're also hoping to have a nice little card out in the front that will show you what suites the different candidates are in, because sometimes we all know, right? Have you ever walked around the hotels trying to figure out where all the candidate suites were? I did last time, and I took my shoes off finally. So we're hoping to make it more of like a central gathering place so everyone knows what's going on and can be invited, and it'd be a good time to bring new people in who maybe want to get involved, want to see what it's like to be an Idaho Republican, because it's not quite the same as being a Republican somewhere else where you're unique, I think. So if you have any questions, we have laptops at the back. If you don't want to poke in a credit card information over the phone, we can do it at the back. We'll take your checks, we'll take your cash. We'll show you what all the party options are, all of the packages for tables and things like that. And mostly we just hope you'll come. We'll have a really good time. Thank you.
I'm kind of new to things, but we're having a lot of fun, and you guys really need to be grateful. These two, Ryan is running a gun, and this girl is working night and day to make this event happen. And I look at it like the tickets might be a little expensive, but it's a fundraiser and we need money. So my bright idea in helping with this, and Gloria's helping me, is that it's 100% profit. And I don't want to leave the guys out. Do any of you guys bake? So what we're going to do is we're going to have a dessert silent auction. They did it at the birthright event, and Teresa Pell's back there. She's helping us too. And you guys, I've seen apple pies go for $250. When somebody wants something, and there's a little competition, it gets a little crazy. So we're really excited. So I've got the sheet. I'm going to pass it around. Even if you're kind of 50% on it, put your information so we can contact you, because we want to have a ton of great desserts and raise a lot of money. I'm really excited about the dance. The dance, a really great guy, he's doing it for a very, very affordable price. He's coming in to do the sound, and then he's a friend of mine, Eric Hoff. And he's going to, there's gonna be a dance, we're gonna have a dance floor, we're gonna have little cocktail tables and bars, and we're really trying to make it a great event, and we want all of you to be there. And I'm gonna pass this around, and I would love to have a few guys baking, and we could like promote it that way or something. Bake, you know, dessert by,
And just to add, just a little bit, add, we've got tickets in the back table there. Michaela's got lots of tickets to sell tonight. We've got them. And we,
these are $1
appreciate
each.
it. Yeah.
If you bought 30 of them, you probably win a big basket full of really cool stuff.
So there's gonna be a DJ then, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so when we're watching the red wave come across the country, when we're all down there, yeah, the red tsunami, we can we have the DJ play "Wipe Out" by the Safaris? Yeah, something right.
That would be awesome. So I think it's going to be a really fun night, and we're setting a precedent for each year. So thank you.
Good job. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just one that is gonna be hitting the pages, so, if there are any businesses or anything that wanna donate or create a basket to donate, let me know. I'll be on the side here, selling tickets as well as, taking information for any businesses that wanna do a little advertising and, use your advertising budget and do some nice things. So, thank you.
I forgot. Yep, I have a clipboard for if you have something to donate, or you can get something to donate for the raffle, as well as some suggestions, the things that we're looking for. We're wanting to have really nice baskets. We have some things donated already, but we'll take more. The list is on the back table apparently. And then if you just have time, that's okay too. I have this for time. So look at the top, and it'll tell you what you're signing up for. Thank you.
All right, they're gonna circulate those clipboards now so you can fill them out while we're sitting here. You know, and let's be creative. You know, everyone's got something they could possibly donate. If we got any hunters here, if you got a freezer full of fresh kill, you know, you want to donate 50 pounds of meat or something, you don't even have to bring it. We'll just make up a gift certificate. You can't sell wild game, but you can give it away. So, looking at you, Edward. So Clint, yeah. Buying tickets tonight would be a huge help. Again, we've got packages for the general public, and we've got candidate packages. If you'd like to officially sponsor as your campaign, and then you'll get special promotion, and you'll have tickets to give away to your volunteers. It's a great present for the volunteers, friends and family who've helped you campaign, to be able to treat them to a nice banquet dinner and have your name on, your campaign logo on the materials that we put out. So please check out adacountigop.org for our packages. And anyone who buys tickets tonight, that would be a huge help. Again, cash or check is preferred. If you don't have either, you can do credit card through our website, adacountigop.org. But buying tickets tonight would be a huge help to us. So let's be generous. Appreciate it, everybody. All right, we are now going to move on to our debate. We're going to have a debate on Proposition 1, the horse racing ballot initiative. Last meeting, we had a debate on Prop 2, which went very well. And so we've got some special guests here tonight. Speaking in favor is Todd Dvorak from the Prop 1 campaign, who's also a former Associated Press reporter. And arguing against, we have John Evans, who is the current mayor of Garden City. If we could get both of you to come up right now. We are going to structure this similar to what we did last time. Each side can have a 5-minute opening speech, and then we will do a series of 60-second rebuttals, and then if we have time, we'll do a couple of Q&A. So why don't we start it out with the person who is speaking in favor of the initiative, Mr. Dvorak. Give him a warm round of applause.
All right, thanks for being here tonight. Before I get started in on the initiative, just want to say that I think it's pretty amazing that so many people have voted early. It's a great sign for our democracy and our electoral system. And if you have voted early, thanks, regardless of whether you voted pro or yes or no on Proposition 1. If you haven't voted yet, thanks for being here tonight, and I hope that we are able to educate you on how to proceed when you get to the ballot box on November 6th. I'd also like to thank Ryan for reaching out to our campaign and certainly the opposition to have this opportunity to address you guys tonight. Before we get started, I have a question. How many of you guys have a lottery ticket?
Who doesn't? Fewer hands.
How many of you checking your phones right now to see if your lucky number came up? Not yet? When's the drawing? 9 o'clock. All right, I'll try to finish before that. Proposition 1, campaign to save Idaho horse racing. I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible. Try to distill it down into what this campaign really is about, what a yes vote means. A yes vote means that you are saying, I want to do what's possible to save the horse racing industry in the state. The mechanism for doing that is approving, authorizing a limited, restricted, and transparent form of gaming called historical horse racing. Historical horse racing was legal in Idaho between 2013 and 2015. And the results from that brief period of time were showing the positive results that we expect to continue if this initiative passes. What do I mean by that? Horse racing in Idaho is on its last legs. Lake Watt Park closed in 2015. There hasn't been a race there at that beautiful track since then. Racing at smaller tracks across the state of Idaho has diminished. We once had race days of 80 race days across the state. According to the Idaho Racing Commission's annual report, we were down to 25 last year. The revenue generated from historical horse racing is critical to bolstering the race purses. Why is that important? Race purses that are worth the time and effort for breeders, trainers, and jockeys to compete for. That's what it's all about. The industry needs to bolster those purses to make racing competitive. What that means, if we have purses that are average purses in the $8,000 to $10,000 range, that draws breeders and trainers and jockeys from California, from Washington, Oregon, states like Wyoming that have historical horse racing where the industry is healthy, Montana. It all goes to boost this industry. What do we know about horse racing in 2015? The Boise State University economics professor did an analysis in 2015 looking at the economic impact of Lake Watt Park when it was running at a healthy speed. What he found and his staff found is that the industry in the Treasure Valley contributed $50 million to our local economy. It employed 535 people at the track, directly and indirectly. It was funding purses that are used to bolster racing at smaller tracks.
30 seconds.
Sorry, I'll wrap it up. The legislature repealed HHR in 2015, essentially taking away business from folks who had invested in this technology, invested in people, invested in making upgrades to the park. Proposition 1 enables voters in this state to right that political wrong. To say, we don't support the idea of the legislature giving a green light to business to go and invest and spend money, and then 2 years later, kick the legs out from under them. We're asking voters to vote yes on Proposition 1 to right that political wrong and get this industry back on its feet again.
All right, thank you, Todd. And now we will hear the opposing side from the Mayor of Garden City, Mr. John Evans.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here. Mayors, local elected officials are nonpartisan in Idaho. But for what it's worth, I'm thankful that we have a president that's turning this nation around and that Judge Kavanaugh is on the Supreme Court. So I just wanted to lay that bit of a foundation. I'm not opposed to horse racing. The challenge I have is the means to get to the end of saving horse racing. The issue is the expansion of gambling, casino-style gambling. Those of you that study issues, I'm going to encourage you to get on the website, go to the Attorney General's website, and pull up the certificate of review that the Attorney General is required to do for an initiative. It lays out, I'm going to have my talking points, those in favor are going to have their talking points. It kind of dissects the initiative, and the conclusion you'll see is that it's legally vulnerable. There's a history of pari-mutuel betting. When the Constitution was changed in 1992 to allow what is currently legal in Idaho, that is live horse racing, the context then is quite different than the context with the historic racing terminals. And the issue is how do you define pari-mutuel betting? I'm not going to play attorney tonight and argue that for you. But you can do that. The simple conclusion is that the courts will end up making a decision if this passes on whether it's going to be sustained or not. And to do that, there's going to have to be a significant broadening of the definition of pari-mutuel betting, and there's going to have to be a definition that expands the commonly used terms in simulated or imitation casino-style machines. So the issue from my perspective is do we want to expand casino-style gambling in Idaho? And it seems to me that decision ought to be plainly stated, and that we ought to be making the decision on gambling, not under the ruse of live horse racing. So let me lay out a very quick scenario. I've got 1 minute and 56 seconds left. Prop 1 is targeted legislation that benefits a private, for-profit entertainment business. Horse racing is entertainment. It will allow a business that is otherwise failing to stay in business, employ the folks that you've heard explained here a few minutes ago. And that's a advantage that no other industry in Idaho has the ability to take advantage of. So my question is that fair? The sawmill in Horseshoe Bend closed because they couldn't compete. They could use the backfill. The small family farm that's going away. Your hometown newspaper, your small ones. There are a lot of industries that are deserving, but the playing field, in my view, in this country needs to be level. And if you're going to be in the entertainment business and you want to save horse racing, then we need to come up with a way to send people to the track. In a legislative hearing, I actually offered a proposal to save LaBois Park that the Ada County Commissioners could make happen if they chose to. And And that's by land leasing the commercial property on Glenwood and Chinden and using that money as an endowment to backfill the purses necessary to sustain LeBlanc Park. I didn't even get a phone call back from the promoters. So there's a private sector way to look at this. So I'm just encouraging you as we debate this. It isn't the value of horse racing industry. Does the means justify the ends? Bingo. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right, we'll now do 60-second rebuttals. Each side will get 60 seconds to address the previous comments, and we will go back and forth for probably at least 3 rounds. All right, Todd, you're up.
Great, thanks. All right, first of all, the mayor has pointed out that this is an expansion of gambling, and isn't that? Well, you know, we are a gaming state. If you don't want to play the ponies, go bet on the ponies, that's fine. We get that. If you don't want to play historical horse racing, we get that too. But keep in mind that voters in Idaho approved the lottery decades ago. In 2002, voters then agreed to allow casino-style gaming on tribal reservations. We have lottery, all kinds of casinos. I mean, how many tens of thousands of Idahoans are going to the store in the next couple of days, or have, to buy lottery tickets? So all we're doing, and if you read the proposition, this is not a huge expansion of gaming. The proposition is very clear. The only places that these historical horse racing terminals can be allowed are at racetracks that host at least 8 race days a year. So that's a commitment that they make to live racing. And then the one and only simulcast location in Post Falls. If Proposition 1 passes on November 6th, there are only 2 places where this would be allowed. In 2013, between 2015, that 2-year span, there were 0 applications to the Idaho Racing Commission. Yeah, sorry. There were 0 applications to put in any HHR terminals anywhere else in the state.
All right, thank you, Todd. Mr. Mayor, you've got 60 seconds to respond. Thank you. Well, I'll argue that it is an expansion because Prop 1 doesn't put any limit on the number of terminals that can be at these locations. The tribes, that issue is a federal issue that was initiated in 1987. They've got their operation. It's a self-reliance. It's not a for-profit company. I think where I'm going to keep going back to is how do we deal fairly across the board in the private sector in Idaho? A private for-profit company gets an exclusive legislative fix to save their failing industry that nobody else gets. If you're okay with that, then you can vote yes. All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. All right, we've got another 60 seconds. Mr. DeBoer.
I'm glad the mayor brought up fairness, because I want you to think about fairness in this context. 2013, the legislature gives the green light to the Treasure Valley Racing Group. They, in turn, take that green light and go invest significant money in the technology. They hire people to work at the track. And they spend significantly to upgrade the facilities. 2 years later, because the legislature thought these terminals looked like slot machines, hoodwinked completely by cosmetics, repealed that, took the business away. How is that fair? Where's the fairness in that? More than 23 states across the country allow for some alternative form of revenue to support the horse racing industry. Our neighbors to the east and west Wyoming and Oregon have thriving industries. That's all we're asking for.
I thank you, Todd. John, you've got 60 seconds. Okay, I'll talk about the legislature. The legislature took the action they did because they were deceived in 2013 when it was passed at the end of the session in the Agriculture Committee. Assistant AG Mike Kane testified that the machines that were demonstrated to his office were not the machines that were put in out of Labois Park. That didn't sit well with a very Republican legislature. So they didn't think that was fair. So I believe that the Treasure Valley Racing Group at Labois Park actually put themselves in a position that they were in with the machines they made a decision to put in. So I don't think we can lay this at the legislature. I think we have to lay this at competitiveness in an open market level playing field.
All right, thank you. This will be the last round. Each debater gets 60 seconds to close it out. And then we will do, I think, 2 questions.
Cosmetics. The legislature, when they looked at these machines in 2015, they imagine going to a used car spot. You're going to buy a used car. You kick the tires, great, looks great. But do you look under the hood? I would think that you want to look under the hood. The legislature didn't do their homework. No due diligence whatsoever. These machines, historical horse racing terminals, are fundamentally different than slot machines. They operate in a pari-mutuel system, which returns 90%, which pools all the bets. It awards winners and losers based on how you bet on the horses and how those horses finished. It's not a game of chance. Slot machines award winners and losers based on a random number generation. That's chance, folks. We have slot machines all over the state on casinos and reservations. The governor, or excuse me, the mayor, is passing up an opportunity to have $50 million of economic investment, hiring hundreds. Let's get the vote yes for Proposition 1, and let's get this into your document so you get it.
Thank you, Todd. And Mr. Mayor, your last 60-second response. Well, I'm going to go back to the certificate of review. It passes, it'll go to the courts, and somebody's going to have to convince a judge to use an analogy that a duck decoy doesn't look like a duck, because that's basically what Article 3, Section 20 says in relation to machines that look like and appear to operate like casino-style slot machines. So cosmetics do make a difference in the plainly stated language in the Constitution. I'd like to see horse racing saved. I have no problem with that, and I would be happy to visit with anybody about a plan to do that without having to pass a special purpose piece of legislation that picks a winner out of all the entertainment things or all the other businesses in Idaho. Let's get our heads together, and I think we can figure it out. Thank you.
All right, thank you, John. We have the 2 candidates up here. We will take 2 questions from the crowd, 30 seconds response from each individual.
Todd, John, thanks for doing this. When you heard about this, it was all about money and how much money is going back. You guys have gone through an entire debate without talking, especially you, about the money that's supposed to be going into our schools, and this gigantic proposition that you have like it's going to be the panacea for the state, like it's going to save everything in the state. How much money are you going to guarantee to the people of Idaho that is going to go into the school system? And secondly, this 18-to-1 ratio that we hear from Cecil Andrus, can you address that when you talk about the profits you're guaranteed versus what's guaranteed to the schools in terms of percentages?
Who would like to go first?
I actually addressed it to him first, so he'll go first.
How many people own a business? many people know the difference between profit and revenue? It's a lot. In 2015, at Lebois Park, the amount of money wagered on historic horse racing terminals was $88.7 million. The amount of money returned to the bettors was 82.7. That's a 92.6% return to the bettors.
So what's the, how much you go?
Wait, can I finish answering the question? Can get to the, I'll get to, can I get to the schools?
We'll bump it up to 60 seconds.
Thanks. The revenue that was left to the operators, 1% goes to the Idaho State Racing Commission. Percentage of that goes to the public school fund, percentage goes to the small track purse fund, percentage goes to horseman groups, those who are the breeders and of thoroughbreds and quarter horses, and a percentage goes to youth programs, 4-H, Future Farmers of America, equine programs. In 2015, almost $600,000 went to the schools from all horse racing operations. That number would have been more had they not had to turn off the terminals in September of that year. So they only operated on 3/4 of a year. We are not making a promise that this is going to be the panacea for schools. I think we can all agree that education needs more funding. We are saying we're here to help. We're here to give a cut. And over time, we are fully confident that millions of dollars from historic horse racing and a more robust live racing industry will go to public schools.
But Todd, how much went to the
We gotta call it.
private enterprise?
Yeah, we got a call right there.
Out of $6 million in profits.
Treasure Valley Racing reported a $50,000 net loss.
He took 1 minute 30, so less than a minute 30.
Okay, they get 0.5% for schools. The operators get 9%. That's in the language of Prop 1. This isn't about schools. If this was about schools, then the proposition would recommend that we run it like we do the state lottery. The state would run it, and all the money would go to the schools. This isn't about schools. This is about casino-style gambling that can expand without limitation on the sites that it is authorized to operate. A site actually that includes a dog park that doesn't run horses at all in Post Falls. The Green Group owns that operation up there, and you know, these things turn a lot of dollars, and I think they capture entertainment dollars from other parts of the economy. People don't fly in here from New York to go to the Turf Club. It captures other entertainment dollars. Many in this crowd don't have to worry about an entertainment budget, but many do. So the issue of schools is not a valid argument in my view. It's a couple of dollars a year per child. That might increase.
All right, we can do one more question. All right, up front.
Okay, what about the criminal element that comes in with horse racing?
All right, questions about the criminal element that comes with horse racing? Todd, would you like to go first?
Before they answer, are we sticking to 30 seconds or no?
Okay, go ahead.
All right, we'll do 60.
Mayor, Todd, I was just giving him the option. He said to go first. I'll go. During the couple of years that it was operating at the Turf Club, we had no criminal issues. A lot of people come. We have some traffic issues, but I don't count traffic anymore. I can't get from one side of town to the other now in less than 45 minutes. So you won't hear me arguing that it brings in a criminal element. I don't have any facts to support that.
Back in the 80s, when we were having a public debate about the lottery, we heard a lot of the same stuff. It's going to invite the mafia in from New Jersey. It's going to create all kinds of criminal element, that this state will be taken over. Earlier this year, when Governor Otter announced the payout from the lottery to the public schools to the tune of tens of millions, he got that question. And I will paraphrase the governor, who said, these same arguments were made when we had the debate about the lottery. We have not seen any of that. Idaho's integrity in running the lottery has been sound and is airtight. Idaho's integrity has been protected. There is no reason to think that having a robust horse racing industry, historical horse racing, is going to change that.
All right, let's give these two guys a big round of applause. All right, well, we really appreciate that. That went really well. All right, so we're going to move on to the next item on our agenda, which is the Resolutions Committee report. Well, we haven't really had any resolutions up till now, but with the election coming up and a lot of issues, there were some last minute issues that came up, and so I've reformed the Resolutions Committee for this term. Keep in mind, every single precinct committeeman can support or can propose a resolution to this body. It goes through the Resolutions Committee first, and they can vote it up or down or amend it and bring it to this body. So please be thinking of resolutions that you would like to bring covering any range of issues. We had 5 resolutions submitted, and 4 of them passed through the Resolutions Committee. So if you want to turn to the first resolution, which is a resolution endorsing Proposition 1 and its goal of reviving Idaho's horse racing industry. So you just heard the arguments. We now have a resolution in front of us. This resolution has my name on it, but this was not written by me. This was provided by the Prop 1 campaign. I put my name on it so that we could bring it to this body for a debate. Hopefully you've had a chance to glance over it, but I will just read the therefores. Therefore be it resolved that the Ada County Central Committee believes that live horse racing is essential to our state, its heritage and future, and therefore be it further resolved that the Ada County Central Committee formally endorses Proposition 1 and its goals of saving Idaho's live horse racing industry and encourages all Idahoans to vote in favor of Proposition 1 on November 6th. So, according to our party rules, we have up to 5 minutes of debate on each proposed resolution, and that includes the pro and the con. So, again, we will, at this point, open it up for debate. Again, we have up to 5 minutes. Parliamentarian will try to keep time as best as we can between the two sides. But it's 5 minutes total, unless the committee moves to vote to extend that time. So, do we have anyone who would like to argue pro or con on this resolution? And again, it's precinct committeemen and alternates who can debate. Steve Christensen.
Con.
Hmm?
Con. I'm against it. I think there's a big difference between.
Why don't you stand, everybody stand where they are.
Steve Christensen, 1801. I think there's a big difference between historical horse racing through machines and the live horse racing at LeBois Park. And I think this proposition is targeting the schools' money as a carrot to try to get it passed. So Idaho will protect a private industry. So I'm not for it.
All right, thank you, Steve. Well, we are limiting it to debate of PCs right now. Julia?
I'm sorry, pro or con?
And some of the things that I've heard about who is kind of financing the against Proposition 1 is the reservations. And they're, because this would turn around and have competition for them, which I think is not really a fair issue for the rest of our state. And I don't think that where something an industry has to be regulated and everything by the legislature, the way they do, and their power to take away their business and everything, it should be considered the same as somebody like me with a small business. I have regulations and things to follow, but they can't just come in and shut me down. It's a totally different, it's comparing apples to oranges. And I don't think that it's fair, and I think that I would vote in favor of it.
Thank you, Julia. All right, do we have anyone else who would like to argue pro or con? Representative Vanderwater.
Thank you. Representative Vanderwater from District 22. I was in the legislature when this passed the first time and when it failed the second time, or the repeal of it. The legislature was deceived on what those machines actually looked like and what they were. And that's why it was repealed. It wasn't taking away a business opportunity. I do a lot, I've used this example to a couple of legislators, and it's like, hey, I'm gonna build this men's club, and I've got all these apartments and all this stuff like that, and you know, okay, that's fine, we'll give you a permit, you can build your men's club. But then after a while, I say, well, you know, we need a little extra push. We need to, maybe we'll start inviting women here. And pretty soon it becomes a whorehouse. Well, that wasn't what we licensed. And then we take that away and you say, you took the business away from us. No, we didn't. You changed the business model from what you told us it was to what it now is. It's an expansion of gambling. Do we want to? And the question should be, do you want to expand gambling in Idaho or do you not? And if you want to expand, vote for it. And I know there's people that will argue, why do the Indians, the only ones who get gambling, who get these machines, and why doesn't the private industry get it? Well, if that's the question, then let's vote on that. Don't deceive people by saying this is to save horse racing. This is to create another industry in Idaho. If you want to expand gambling, go ahead, vote for it. If you don't vote for it. But it's not to save horse racing, it's to create a whole new business. It's a different business model. I asked them when we got it in the legislature, if this is historical horse racing, I can go on the internet, I can find the horse race, and I can bet on the winner, and I'll win every time. How do you do that? Well, it's not really horse racing. It's basically gambling. Machines look like, and the Constitution says, if it looks like, acts like a slot machine, it's not constitutional. I believe that if you want to expand this, you're going to have to change the Constitution.
All right, do we have anyone else who wants to argue the pro side? Lee.
Lee Joe Lay, 1614. My position would be that we let the people resolve this, that we not take this position, we not take this resolution under consideration for a vote. This is in my district, and there are some good suggestions for other ways to fund it through the backside, and we let the market figure out this thing, and as a group, we abstain from making this motion.
Okay, I was asking for people on the pro side, since we've had now two cons in a row. Is there anyone else who'd like to argue the pro? Okay, is there anyone else who would like to argue?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we close debate.
Russell?
If there's a motion on the floor, I would second Levon's motion.
Did you make a motion, Lee?
Yes, Lee Joe Lay, 1614, I officially make a motion to remove this resolution as a vote, for being voted on by the county.
And seconded.
Name and district, please.
Russell Spencer, 1501.
So, I don't know if that's a proper motion, because simply voting against the resolution would have the effect that you're asking
Well,
for.
Mr. Chairman, this is essentially a motion for closing the debate in reverse. So if somebody were to make that motion in reverse, just, you know, the motion is actually proper, but do we actually close debate now? And that's what the question is before the body.
How are we, so we have 5 minutes of debate. How are we doing on that?
almost 3 minutes on con and 63 seconds on pro.
Okay. So we will hold open the 5 minutes if there is additional arguments for the pro side to even it out before we entertain any other motions.
I've got about 15 seconds for pro. I don't know if you guys looked at your voter guide, from the Secretary of State, where they had the no on Prop 1 statement. If you looked at the end of that, they talked about how the Las Vegas shooter was a quote-unquote slot machine addict and he killed however many people. If these are the type of arguments that side needs to rely on, I think we know which direction we need to go for the responsible adults in the room. Thanks. Edward Denninger, 1711.
All right.
Yes, please be kind to the secretary.
A couple seconds left for debate. Is there any further debate for the 5 minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we close debate.
Victor Miller.
Victor Miller.
1416. I just don't understand the numbers. So we had $88 million, $88.7 million of revenue, and $82.7 million of payout. That means $6 million went somewhere. Somehow this private enterprise lost $50,000, only $600,000 went to schools. So I don't understand where $5.8 million of money went. So I think there's that's very disconcerting. Secondly, I agree it's a constitutional issue. Thirdly, there's an exclusive benefit being made for one particular private enterprise, which I don't think we should be getting the business of calling balls and strikes for people. $600,000 of total value to the schools when it was running full tilt then is not enough, in my mind, to pay for bringing gambling to the state. I don't understand. That's not a good cost-benefit trade-off. And I don't think 8 races coming back to a particular park that we can claim victory that we actually have horse racing back in our state because we have 8 races at a racetrack. So for all those reasons, I vehemently vote no on this.
Are we under 5 minutes?
Getting close to 4.
Shoot it already.
Hey, I've been trying to make that very motion.
All right, if there's no other debate.
Can we move to shorten the time for this debate?
That motion would be in order.
I move
Yeah,
to
I need
shorten the
that.
time for debate to finish debate, to end debate on this, what do you call it, proposition? Resolution.
The chair will interpret that as a motion to close debate. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay.
Nay.
Okay, the debate is closed.
No, you should have gone.
At this point, the chair would entertain a motion.
Please bill A 1614. I propose that we not vote on this resolution.
To strike it. To strike it, is that what you mean?
1501, I second the motion.
All right, so the motion is to not accept this, which is kind of the backward way of just up or down vote. So a yes vote on this would simply mean that we are not passing this resolution. We've taken no position. It's not that we're against it, essentially you're asking us to abstain. Okay.
That's not the resolution. This is your resolution with your name on it.
Right, that is the resolution, but
It's up or down.
it is unless there is a motion to ask for something else. Now, I think that both would have the same effect, honestly.
Because it doesn't come out as an endorsement. Right?
It's not coming out as an endorsement, Lee's motion is that we take no position. Is that correct?
Being extremely rude over there.
I would interpret a vote to be an against proposition 1.
It's up or down.
Well, we're not.
It's up or down.
That would be a separate. Your motion was that we take no position.
I make a motion that we actually voted up or down, yea or nay.
Yeah, we're already in the middle of,
And
yeah.
I would like to interpret the motion, if I could, the way I understand it, is that we are simply not going to take a position so that our candidates in District 16 can run their race without having to run against the rest of the parties in Districts 15 and 14 and 21 and 22, where I think this motion is likely to fail. So that our candidates in 16 still have a fighting chance with it. That's how I interpret Vito's motion.
Okay.
Isn't it the mayor?
not gonna advance it.
So, again, the effect of a positive vote would be that the resolution does not pass and we've taken no position. Stephen?
Stephen Loop, alternate, District 1508. I support the motion for basically this reason, that by not taking the position, we don't throw the Ada County Committee into having to be for or against an issue that really is up to the public and what they want to do, and it's not a partisan issue, it's not a Republican issue, and we should have no involvement.
All right, do we have any further debate on the motion?
It's kind of a procedural question. We took a position on a resolution for Medicaid expansion, which is the other proposition.
Right.
What's the difference here?
Ada County did not take a position, the state convention took a position to be against Prop 2. Any other debate? Seeing none, we will call the question. All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no.
No.
Is the chair in doubt?
The chair is not in doubt.
Repeat what the motion is.
The motion was essentially to abstain from passing this or taking a position. So the chair is going to rule that the motion passed. So the effect of this is we have not passed this resolution, nor have we taken a position. All right. I'm just going to jump in with any other motions. No division? That's okay. We don't have time. All right, let's move on to the second resolution. This is a resolution condemning Governor C.L. Bush Otter's endorsement of Representative Thomas Lorcher's write-in candidacy for the Idaho House of Representatives, District 32B, and endorsing Republican nominee Chad Christensen. This resolution did pass the Resolutions Committee. It was submitted by Edward Dininger, Precinct 1711. Would you care to take 30 seconds up at the podium to talk about your resolution?
Can I just address from here? Sure. So just briefly to recap what happened, Representative Lorcher was a longtime legislator. He was a chairman of the State Affairs Committee. There was some discontent because he used that position to block certain bills from getting hearing by the full body. Chad Christensen mounted a campaign, fought really hard. He was an unknown, and he defeated Representative Lorcher. Got the Republican nomination. This result was certified by the Secretary of State. Representative Lorcher did not accept that loss. He's running a write-in campaign. Anyway, let's just say Governor Otters decided to endorse Lorcher's independent write-in candidacy in the face of a Republican nominee running in that district, and I'll also add there's a Democrat running a write-in campaign in that district. I find that it's totally inappropriate for him to do so as the most visible Republican. I think that what happened to writing for the brand, I think it's time for us to decide what kind of party do we want to be. Is this the grand old party or is it the good old boys club? And I think he did wrong by Chad Christensen. I don't know Chad Christensen personally, but I just decided I'm not going to say I did nothing about it, and I would encourage you to do something about it tonight as well. Thanks.
All right, I'll just quickly read the therefores. Therefore, be it resolved that the Ada County Republican Party condemns Governor Otter's endorsement of Representative Thomas Lorcher's write-in candidacy for Idaho House District 32B, and therefore be it resolved that the Ada County Republican Party endorses Chad Christensen for Idaho House District 32B, and therefore be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to all Republican legislators of Ada County. So we will open it up for 5 minutes of debate. Same rules as before. We will hear from pro or con. The floor is open for debate. Greg first.
Mine is more of a question. Is it true that Lorcher is using the Republican logo on his literature as an independent candidate?
May I?
The chair does not have any information on that, if anyone else does.
I can, if it is allowed, that it is not considered as debate.
If you have proof.
Okay, so as of this morning, he was until some volunteer decided to take a red piece of tape and cover the lower part of the elephant on all the signs out there in District 32. And that's what happened, but it's still there. You can definitely tell what it is.
I would suggest he lost the logo in May. Right?
We agree.
Insert all the newspapers. Here's an insert in the newspapers right here.
And it has the logo?
He-
Okay.
He lost the Republican branding when he lost a Republican primary.
Exactly.
All right, so, further debate. Megan?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we cut debate time to 2 minutes, as I see that there to be little, con against this resolution.
Second, this is totally up to the body. We'll just call a question. All in favor of reducing the debate from 5 minutes to 2 minutes? Say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. All right, debate is 2 minutes. Who else would like to debate? Regina?
Regina Mayer, alternate 2101. I would like to just make a suggestion, and I don't want to screw up the proposal whatsoever, but that it should go to all Republican legislators, not just Ada County.
I have a procedural question.
Are you making that in form of a motion to amend?
Yes.
Okay, amendments are in order, resolutions. Do we have a second? Okay. Any discussion on the motion to amend?
We can't actually do that. Because we are the Ada County Republican Party, we are not the Idaho one.
Well, we can amend this to be sent to the state party.
Is that what the motion actually was, or was it to forward it to all the legislators? Because that's
The
what.
motion was to amend it to forward it to every legislator, not just the legislators.
And not the state party?
Not the state party, but the legislature chair, state line.
We can't
She
do that.
didn't mention the state party.
Mr. Chair,
We can't do that.
should we amend that even a little bit more to also include media, local media?
We could. We should have policies in place where we're always sending, our business to inform a press release to. Okay. Let me just restate the motion as I heard it. The motion was to change the last line of the resolution, therefore that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to all Republican legislators, and just strike of Ada County?
Correct.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay.
No?
Okay. Motion passes. The resolution is amended. Do we have any other debate?
Read it as amended.
Okay. Therefore, be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to all Republican legislators. Well,
Yeah, better.
we can apply. Any other debate? Any debate, pro or con?
I may mention,
1814, so why not send it to the media? I mean, the voters are the ones that need to understand that we represent, that who we endorse, isn't it?
Well, just off the record, not part of the debate, my feeling is any resolutions we pass or rules or any business should generally be sent to the media as a matter of course. I have no objection to, any business we do, it should just automatically go to the media. Any other debate?
if it may be considered separate, I do have something to mention to the body about this.
Critical?
Well, it might be. Okay, so this is mentioned briefly in the resolution here, is that there was a journalist out there that said that Butch Otter's endorsement also meant that Brad Little's endorsement of literature was in effect, and it turns out that wasn't actually true. There was another person who interviewed him and said, yes, we did get a call from the Lurch campaign, but I have to stick with the Republican Party and I'm endorsing Chad Christensen. He said that all in like one breath.
All right, any other debate? We will, okay. Julia, motion, and who's second? All right, we have a motion to close debate. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. All right, debate is closed. So the chair will entertain a motion to pass this resolution. We have a motion.
Julia Morgan, 2115.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of adopting this resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay.
Nay.
All right, in the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. And the motion passes. All right, we will move on to the third resolution. This is a resolution endorsing Mary May's candidacy for Commissioner of the Ada County Highway District, District 3. This was submitted by myself, and we've had Mary speak in a previous meeting. This is a quick resolution. So as you know, the Ada County Highway District is a nonpartisan election. That makes it harder for Republicans to figure out who to vote for. But in this particular seat, we have a very clear contest between a registered Democrat and a registered Republican. The incumbent, Paul Woods, is a well-known Democrat. He was formerly served on the Ada County Commission. This body here is one of the 3 elected commissioners as a Democrat. So various people in the party, including myself, worked hard to try to make this a two-way race, so it was a clear choice between a Democrat and a Republican. Mary May's here tonight. So let me just read the therefore be it resolved that the Republican Party of Ada County hereby formally endorses Mary May for the position of Ada County Highway District Commissioner. The floor is open for debate. Russell.
Just like to say, we've been talking about inside this body wanting to make these nonpartisan races more partisan identifiable. And where we can't do that directly, I think this is the perfect way to take care of that, especially where we've made a race where it's a Republican versus not a Republican. It doesn't even have to be a Democrat. We're the Ada County Republican Party. We should be endorsing and supporting the Republicans all the way across the ballot. I would like to know, I would like to have a voter pamphlet printed out that tells me who the Republicans are running for the college boards, for the Ada County Highway District, for all the positions. I am fully in support of this resolution and hope the body will support it as well.
Thank you, Russell. And just for your information, the second to last page in your program does have a list of all registered Republicans that I can determine were registered Republicans running in the nonpartisan seats. Is there any other debate? Dave.
I have a motion to Dave Shirtliff, 1605, and I would move that we accept this motion. The contest with Ada County Highway District is the highway district for the whole county and not for Boise City, and that's a part of what this race is about.
All right, is that a motion to close debate, or just are you arguing in favor?
No, it was a motion to accept the.
Oh.
Okay, we will count that as debate. Do we have any further debate or any motions?
Call the question.
And make a motion, we close debate.
Name?
1416, Mr. Miller.
We have a motion and we have a second. Stephen,
Please be kind to the secretary.
your precinct number, please.
1508.
All right, we have a motion, a second, close debate. Is there any? No? Is that a debatable motion? I don't think it is.
No.
All right, all in favor of closing debate, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Debate is now closed. Victor?
I propose that we make, that Mary May becomes our official candidate for Commissioner of Ada Highway District 3.
We have a motion to pass the resolution. We have a second. I will call the question. David Shirtliff is the second. All in favor of passing this resolution and endorsing Mary May for Ada County Highway District, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. All right, motion passes. Congratulations, Mary. The fourth resolution in your packet was not passed by the Resolutions Committee, and so we will not be considering that one. We will move on to the fifth resolution, a resolution in opposition and rejection of gun confiscation orders for red flag laws. This was submitted by Matthew Jensen. If you'd like to take 30 seconds to talk about your resolution.
Hold on, I'll set the timer first.
All right, so I'm going to make this quick. This is basically the very similar situation to my stand your ground resolution, where we have a very bad thing going on. particularly, we know for a fact that such a law, red flag laws or gun confiscation orders are going to be attempted in the Idaho legislature. And we need to do that now, we need to say something about it now, because it's basically around, dang it.
I make a motion, we go for another
Hey, I'm respecting the process here, I'm gonna.
All right, so, again, the intent of this resolution is that it be sent up to the State Central Committee. For those of you who don't know, the State Central Committee, which will have its winter meeting in January, cannot hear a resolution unless it's passed by a lower body. I will just read the therefores. Therefore be it resolved that the Idaho Republican Party pleads with its members in the legislature and related roles to do whatever they can to stop passage of any gun confiscation orders or red flag bill, and therefore be it further resolved that the Idaho Republican Party reaffirms its support of, as well as its love for, the Bill of Rights, and therefore be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to all Republican legislators in the state of Idaho, and therefore be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution shall be sent to the 2019 Winter State Central Committee meeting for consideration. The floor is open for debate. Any debate pro or con? All right, seeing none, I will close debate, and the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to vote on this resolution. Edward Van Dicker, 1711.
All right, I have a motion and a second to pass this resolution. Is there any further debate? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. All right, motion passes, the resolution is passed.
Nice.
All right, we are getting close to the end of the meeting. We still have additional business. And I'm going to recommend that we hold over the proposed rule until the next meeting to save time. Because we are running out of time. So this proposed rule was introduced at the last meeting. Rules and resolutions are different. Proposed rules and bylaws have to be introduced at one meeting, voted on at the next. They require a 2/3 vote. I don't think we have enough time to debate this one since it's a lengthy rule. I would entertain a motion to table this until the next meeting.
I move to table it till the next meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
1605.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? say
Nay.
All right, motion passes. All right, moving right along, we will we need to discuss which campaigns to spend party resources on. This is kind of an important one. We had an executive committee meeting. We talked about this quite a bit. So we raised money at the last banquet to help our candidates, and we had a good discussion about, you know, what races to expand resources. And the executive committee was pretty unified on the fact that we really should only spend party resources on the races that need help. In Ada County, we clearly know there are some districts that are a guaranteed win and some that are a guaranteed loss. We want to focus on the ones that are sort of right in the middle. And the executive committee was largely interested in focusing on legislative districts 15 and 16. Legislative district 15 is a Republican district, which we are in danger of losing. And district 16 is a Democrat district, which we have a possibility of winning. We've also talked about focusing on the race for coroner because we are running against a Democrat opponent. And we felt that perhaps the races for county commission were possibly more vulnerable of the county races because there seem to be well-funded Democrat challengers in those seats, but not in the other seats. And additionally, we talked about Mary May's race for Ada County Highway District. So those were sort of the main races we were looking at, putting some of our limited resources to in the form of maybe social media campaigns or an additional mailer. You know, the candidates are working really hard, and we have a little bit extra that we can put into Facebook ads, maybe some extra mailers targeting certain audiences, that kind of stuff. So we decided to bring that issue to the full body to see if there was any additional input. And so we will open up the floor for that discussion if anyone has any thoughts or debate they'd like to make. Sharon?
Mr. Chairman, I am not currently a precinct committee person, but I would like to speak in terms of the county races, Ada County, not the highway district. I would ask that you give all of the resources for Ada County that you were talking about contributing to the commissioner races to the coroner race, because I think that's the one that needs the most help. It's a significant position, and I think that I've spent the money I plan to spend. Commissioner Tips, I think, is well funded. So in terms of doing the most good, it will do the most good in the coroner's race.
Well, that's very generous of you. Do we have any other debate, questions, comments? Russell.
I have a question, but for Ms. Ullman. Are you sure you can't use an extra cash? Because this is something that did come up. We were concerned that if you were here, you would in fact say, give the money to somebody else.
Please give the money to somebody else. Give it to Nikki. She needs it.
Yeah, that was my question.
Didn't the chair say that Sharon is really bad at fundraising?
Any other questions, comments, debates? I'm very curious if anyone disagrees with the analysis of what is a competitive race and what isn't. All right, well, okay. Seeing no other debate, I would entertain a motion that the party focuses on the legislative district 15, 16, the coroner race, and the ACHD race, and that basically the executive committee will try to figure out if the money's better spent Facebook ads, targeted mailer, that kind of stuff. Would anyone care to make that motion?
Dave Shirtliff, 1605. I would so move, if I could avoid repeating it.
Sure.
Being in District 16, we've suffered with Democrats long enough, and so I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Lee Joe Lay, second. Tamara, second. Okay. All right. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. All right. Motion passes. Thank you very much. And so for the, I hope no candidate takes offense that we're not focusing on your race. Sometimes you got to make hard, pragmatic decisions, and but we encourage everyone to keep campaigning as hard as they can. Let's move on to our next agenda item, which is Phil McGrain still here. I think if they don't kick us out. Phil, our candidate for Ada County Clerk, has got some important information on the voter statistics in Ada County that we wanted to share with you, just to encourage you as this election creeps ever nearer. So I will turn the floor over to Phil.
Thank you, Ryan, and I will be really brief because of the timing of everything. One thing I have to mention, Nikki, I don't think is here anymore, but what she forgot to reference was the coroner is the only one who can arrest the sheriff. Awesome. And as someone else who works in the county, I kind of wish I had that in my background.
I'd also like to add that Dottie Owens does not have a medical background and Nikki does. And I always thought was a given for a coroner.
I'm just going to share real quick with everybody, in case, because many of you may not know that this is out here, and I encourage you, for those of you who are candidates or working with candidates, it's a worthwhile resource. This is the Ada County Elections Office webpage. If you want to follow along and see what the election's looking like so far, we provide publicly data available to all of the candidates. So under the Candidates tab, there is an absentee ballot tracking link. And if you go here, I'm going to reference things really loosely, but we have a bunch of data that we update every morning with current information in terms of what's going on with the absentees. You may have heard through some of the local media, but turnout so far for this election is extremely high. We anticipated it to be very high, and it is turning out to be that way. Right now, things are trending closer to a presidential election than a gubernatorial election, just because of the interest. I think that's for a variety of reasons, both nationally, locally, and other reasons. but we provide statistics every day that you can follow. One of the good things worth noting here down at the bottom, if you're interested, is what portion of the ballots that have been cast are Republican, unaffiliated, Democrat. Right now, 45% of the early votes and absentees that have been returned are Republican ballots. About 25% are Democratic ballots, and the remainder unaffiliated. So you can kind of see where we're doing, but there's a lot of information here. There's tabs right here so you can compare how many ballots are being issued, as well as how many people are voting early every day. And you can see turnout is really high. Just as a random fact, yesterday at 2:30 in the afternoon, we had voted more people early this election than we voted early in the 2014 general election in total. So turnout is really high. We expect as much as 35% of the votes to be cast prior to election day here in Ada County. So it's worth watching. A lot of voting is happening. I encourage you, if you don't have a plan for election day, make a plan to get to one of the early voting sites between now and I'll leave this resource, but it's available to all of you. When you get home, hop on your computer and check it out.
Phil, do you have any sense about why it's trending this way?
I think interest, I think everyone knows here, nationally, midterm elections are drawing a lot of interest. Open governor's seat is drawing a lot of interest here, and then the propositions that we've discussed this meeting and last meeting seem to really be driving things.
All right. Well, with that, we need you guys to help us get our candidates elected. And one of the great ways you can do that is just drop it lit door to door in your neighborhood. We're another neighborhood in Ada County. And thanks to the Little Campaign and Ken Goldfarb, we have a lot of bags stuffed with candidate lit, and we brought a bunch of it here for you today. We especially have leftover precincts to do in District 16 and 17. And the Little Campaign did a great job of making these neat little bundles of about 30 houses with a walking map on them. And they're in the back there, so all you gotta do is just grab 2 or 3 or however many you want. The walking lists take about half hour for the way they have it set up. Ken?
We could use a little help in 21 as well.
We also have a lot of lit bags for District 21 that are in the process of getting out. So, look, this is not, you don't have to talk to people. You don't have to knock on doors and talk to people. It's just putting the bags on the targeted doors of the people we want to get out to the polls. So, please take a couple hours over the next 2 weeks to just walk your neighborhood or somebody else's neighborhood. It's not hard, it's fun, and I think the weather's gonna hold up. And then also, please take as many yard signs as you want for as many candidates as you want. Don't just put one in your yard. Make sure you got one in your yard, because your yard is the best place for a sign because your neighbors will see it. But take as many signs as you want, find the spots on the intersections, the little vacant lots that nobody cares about. Please take stuff. This is the big push 2 weeks to the election. We need you guys to start hitting the pavement, and it's fun, and you get more ownership of who you get elected in office.
Buy ticket.
Yes, and please, on your way out, buy tickets. If you've still got our Ada County GOP webpage open, scroll down where it says buy tickets here, click on that link. We can sell you raffle tickets tonight. Any member of the executive committee who's around, please help people give us their money. This should be in there. Lock the door. What am I doing? Again, we've got the Ada County Campaign headquarters, which is open every day. It's on Kootenai Street in Orchard. I'm there quite a bit. We have other people there. Any candidate can request to use that to meet up with volunteers. We need people showing up to stuff more bags, pick up the bags. But we have a campaign headquarters for you guys to use. We appreciated everyone who's come, stuffed bags so far and helped out. Feel free to call if you're on your way, and I'll make sure somebody's there. But generally, it's about noon to very late in the evening. Well, was there any other candidate that we missed who hasn't had a chance to address the body who wanted to take just very briefly? Ken, come on up.
Thanks. Give me 60 seconds. First of all, for those of you who don't know me, I'll help anyone in this party. Someone indicated when they were here earlier in the meeting that they had no idea what GOP had done while he was on the ACHD commission. So let me give you 3 little quickies. what I consider my greatest accomplishment was saving a little 87-year-old lady from losing her home in an eminent domain issue. And at the risk of stopping an $18 million federal project, 3 days before a large press conference was to be held, we got that little old lady made whole. That's number one. Number two, in 2016, when I was president of the commission, we had a huge issue with the project on South Cole Road, which you've probably heard about, the Serena development. We had to pass that. We had to sign that plat. But we had about $8 million worth of mitigations that we had $0 budgeted to fix. I got every one of those during that year. And anyway, that's it. There's a lot more. Thanks.
Thank you, Kent, and again, thanks to Kent, who has sponsored thousands of the lit bags that are available to Republican candidates to drop door to door. Is there any other candidate we haven't heard at this meeting or the last meeting that you'd like to say anything? Sharon, would you like to close it out?
Please. Thank you all. In the Ada County Commission races, we've had 3 candidate forums. There would have been 4, but we got the neighborhood associations to consolidate with the League of Women Voters. We had the City Club, the American Association of University Women, and as I say, the League and neighborhood associations. I just wanted an opportunity to be between those candidate forums and the election to speak to a friendly crowd, one that wasn't made up 90% of Democrats. Thank you all for your help. 2 more weeks. Keep up the good work. Thank you for the support.
All right, before we close out, is there any announcements? Victor?
Yes, so tomorrow night I'm hosting a little party at Two Rivers Clubhouse for Mike Moyle, Dan DeMordant, C. Scott Grow, and our lovely Mary May. So it's a District 14 meeting. It's 6:15 to 7:30. It'll be the Two Rivers HOA Clubhouse at 261 West Highland Woods Drive. So if you want to come by, come by.
And if you want to email that to me, I'll send it out to the Facebook page. All right, is there any other announcements before we head out? If anyone wants to, Greg?
Real quick, this weekend I learned a trick for making your lid drops go real fast. That's get 2 rental kids and pull one on each side of the street and just walk down the middle and point. And they run right up and you're knocked out 75. So I pay these kids $5 an hour to help me do lit in district, my precinct 113. And the thing is, rarely will someone turn down lit from an 11-year-old. Right? It's a slick trick, and it makes you much more efficient, so you can get more out.
And if you find some for 21, I'll pay it.
All right, and it could be a 10-year-old, a 9-year-old, they can do it. They're probably willing to pay $5 an hour, too.
Yes.
Hopefully they don't fight for kids. All right, any other announcements? Just to let you know, if anyone wants to come socialize afterwards, we're going to go to 5th and Main Whiskey Bar. Very nice and upscale, but it's a nice place to unwind.